Okay, guys, how are you doing after the summer holidays? Is it good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like great energy in the room, guys. So, welcome on the first UX Monday after the holiday. My name is Shimon. I'm CEO in Dotty and I will be hosting this UX Monday. And before we start, I have a few things that I want to mention here. First of all, we need to thank our partners, our sponsors, because without them, we won't be able to basically make these events. So, first of all, MSD for this amazing venue and everything they're providing us for many years and other like basically very important partners for us are Alma Killier, who is supporting us for many years, Project and Amplify, Live Sport, and as I mentioned, MSD. Hi, Alexi. He's one of the speakers is here, so that's good. Basically, what other things Civics Association is doing, we do a lot of things. I have like little guides here after these slides for me, what I need to like share with you, what we are working on. But our main activity is basically hosting many of these events. UX Monday is one of them, but we are hosting a UX dinner in Brno. We had a UX picnic during the holidays, during the summer holidays, which was amazing, and many other events. But this is a QR code, not on Slido. This is a voluntary entry fee because, as you know, every of our events are free. So if you want to support the community, you can just scan the code, and we will receive the money on the transparent account, which you can check online what we are paying for it, and we are paying for some events. So, for example, when we are sending speakers to Brno as a small city, we need to support. So we are paying for the trip there and for staying there. But first, before we start, I have a message from this guy. This is our chairman. This is Michal. He's in the US right now. And basically, he asked me to say a few things, right? A few points. And I said, okay, let's do it. And then I received like a PowerPoint presentation from him, what I need to say. So I have my guides here because I would be lost. First of all, we want to share that Bob and Latka are working on Human of UX on the next round. Basically, it's like very big research in for us and by us, for many designers, researchers, and product people. Basically about our environment, where we are working, what is important for us, and stuff like that. We had very successful, I think, past two. It wasn't 2 years, but past two versions rounds right rounds versions. Right now we're working on the third, which is amazing. So I just want to share it. When it will be ready, it will be shared with you, so please take your time, because again, it's by us for us, so we need your answers. Then we are working on future of UX. This is Jitka, Bila, and Michal. This is basically another research, because we as an association, we want to provide these findings to you. And it's about how basically we work as UX designers or designers in general in the age of AI, what our companies looking for, and how we need to shape our like understanding of design and the whole career. Then Michal, Marushka, Petr, and Tomasz are working on a new mentoring platform. So one of the points that we hear a lot from the community is that we have a lot of very good designers that have some free time on their hands, and they want to mentor some junior ones to basically help them grow and build this amazing community. So we are building a very small platform. Don't think about it something huge. It's very small. When you, as a junior, as a mentee, you will be able to find your future mentor, basically agreed on anything that's important for your future relationship, and start working together. So I'm like looking forward to it, because I think that we as a community, we can help each other a lot. And then like last two things, and then we will move to these amazing talks, is that we're working on a whole new basically strategy for partnership. So if your company wants to be next to these amazing companies on the start and be a partner of UX Association, please contact me or Michal, and we are working on a whole new strategy, how to basically work with the companies to help them achieve their goals with help of association. And the last thing is, where's Tomasz? Tomasz has the last thing, because Michal doesn't believe in me that I can deliver. So it's your mess.
Thank you. I will briefly switch to Czech because the topic is relevant only for Czech audience. Sorry about that. Já pracuji na nějakém projektu, který se týká ideálně toho, abychom pomohli trošku juniorům najít jejich první práci, respektive pomoc juniorům vůbec s přechodem z těch kurzů do praxe. A budu moc rád případně za vaši pomoc, jestli máte ať už s tím zkušenost, ať už z jednoho tábora toho hledání té práce, anebo ohledně toho, když nabíráte lidi třeba, tak v čem ty junioři mají nějaký mezery. Takže tak se mě případně odchytněte, jinak dávám updaty postupně do komunity, abyste o tom věděli všichni. No. Uh, well, because I started the topic in Czech and I think it's relevant. I honestly I don't know. I started mapping the Czech market, so that's why.
So, and if you are expat, you are living in Czech Republic, can you join as well?
Sorry. Yeah, you probably can. We can manage it in English also.
Cool.
Thank you.
So basically, after this event, we are going to pub. So if you can't speak Czech and you doesn't understand last 2 minutes, you can speak with Tomáš in the pub about the topic that you don't understand. But let's move to the main basically event. We have three amazing speakers, Matěj, Alexei, and Ivana today. They will be sharing three amazing presentation from UX camp in Berlin. And as you know, this is for one, so we will have a next round next month with three another speakers. But without further ado, I want to invite Matěj to basically join the stage with the first presentation. Just one, you can come and you can set up the computer. This is the QR link on a Slido. It won't work right now because I forgot to set it up, but I will set it up in next 2 minutes, so it will work. So you basically can go to Slido, put UX Monday into it, or like scan the QR code. It won't work right now, but in a few minutes it will. And please put all of the questions through the talks there. And one important thing, put the name of the speaker before the question as well, because we will do all of the talks and then we will have a free space for the questions, because I don't know how the talks will be long, right? And I want to like basically provide the speakers as much time as they need, and then we will like answer the questions, and usually we are not able to answer all of them, so that's the reason why we book a pub next corners around it, that we can go there after the event and talk and ask other questions as well, right? Cool. So Maciej, stage is yours.
I'm usually walking a lot, so I don't want to mess up here. All right, thanks for having me. So let's focus on this topic. I brought you a topic, how to gain AI superpowers, back from Berlin, and it's basically, I call it masterclass on prompt engineering. So let me start with a question. Who in this room use ChatGPT or any other LLMs like in their work, like every day, like really every day? Okay, cool. And I'm just curious, who is still sometimes pissed off by the answers that the AI is giving you? Raise your hand. Like it's not giving you what you want. Okay, these people, they always get the clear answers. I will talk to you after my session, because I'm really curious how you do that. So someone recently told me that I should treat AI like a new junior hire, like dumb and lazy hire. So that was my start of my original presentation back in Berlin. However, someone recently told me, and I'm looking at you, Shimon, that I should not talk 40 minutes, but only 20 minutes. So, do you all know this MVP triangle? So I was like, fuck this, I'm not redoing my whole presentation. So I was like, okay, fuck that all storytelling shit. No one cares about it. So I was like, fuck that shit, let's focus on something functional. The thing that you can just grab and use. So instead of really deep, emotional, really well-crafted story that I had back in Berlin, so next time come with me to Berlin, I just stripped off all the clothes, from the presentation, but I did not stop there. I peeled off the whole skin to reveal the bare flesh. And what I'm serving you now is really like the raw meat of the presentation, the thing that you can just grab and use in your life right away. So, all right, so skip all this storytelling shit. That was like giving you the introduction why even the UX design was discovered and how it relates to AI and blah, blah, blah. Oh, I just got 5 minutes more. So, ground zero. When you are starting with AI, this is basically what you start doing. Just write what you want. Very simple, very straightforward. There are some tasks where it just works, like reformat some text or explain me something, translate something, or find the meaning of your life. These are like simple things, and you can just give it to the LLM, and it will just respond. But if it's not working, there are several techniques that you can use. So the first thing is role playing. LLMs, they really love to role play. So what you can start doing that you can say, okay, act like as a strategist or act like a legal advisor or blah, blah, blah. And it will, you know, LLM is like very ultra wide generalist. So by telling him, you know, what happened, it, telling it to act like something, you are just like narrowing down the space where it should like focus, and it should give you much more relevant answers. Just be aware, as like the same with the people when they are role playing, sometimes it get nasty, so just be aware what you are asking it to. But fortunately, LLMs, they have some kind of guardrails, so it should not end up like this. So if it's not still working, then there is a time that you just need to stop being lazy and start giving something more to the prompts. So that's why we landed up CoStar. Who in this room knows CoStar framework? Raise your hand. Oh, cool. So it means that maybe you will learn something today. CoStar is a framework by Sheila Theo, and she was a girl and she won some kind of prompt engineering competition back then in 2023. But it's a quite nice way how to approach like the prompt engineering. So COSTAR basically stands for context, objective, style, tone, audience, and response. And it basically says if you want to get more relevant answers, you should somehow include these things into your prompt. The most important ones are the first two, context and objective. It basically, it was very tied to the story that I was telling, so sorry about that, but basically the point was that you have lots of context in your head when you are trying to imagine something, and when you are trying to imagine how the result should look like, you really put lots of mental context into it, but the LLM, they just don't know. And if you don't tell it, it just don't know. So the first and maybe the most important thing that will really bring up the level of the quality of the response is really to provide enough context so the LLM really knows what to deal with, and also objective, like tell it what you are trying to achieve. The next one, they stands for style, tone, audience. I think they are quite uh, self-explained. This is important when you are generating something that should be somehow consumed by anyone or read by anyone. So for example, like documentation or blog posts or articles and this kind of stuff. By providing this information, you just tell LLM how to specify the output. Response basically stands for output format. So it's basically, you can tell it to generate PDF out of the format, or JSON or Markdown, on this kind of stuff. But where is it also useful? You can specify the level of detail of what you want to get from it. Because if you tell, okay, give me like 1-page paper, it will give you totally different level of detail when you tell it like, give me 10 paper. So this is how you can use it too. And basically you can use it rigid like this, like very well structured, like, okay, this is the context, this is the objective response. You don't need to use all of them all the time, but you can also somehow just incorporate it in your prompt and really use your natural language. So when it still does not work, you can use few shots, or it's called few shot, this technique, but it's just about giving it some examples. Sometimes the LLM just does not know still like how the output should look like. So what you can do is really to provide some example what you want, because then it will understand better. You can give it like one example, that's called one shot technique. You can give it more, then it's called few shot technique. Usually 2 to 3 is just enough for like a good detail. What you can also do, you can give negative examples. So if it's still generating something you don't know, you can just tell it, hey, don't generate this. And maybe the last tip is that sometimes like giving up or crafting good examples can take quite a long time. So what you can do, you can use LLM to generate this example, then somehow fine tune it for your purpose, and then put it in some prompt where you start generating the real stuff. Okay, accuracy. This is really like the weak spot of all LLMs. But since I don't have much time, I will just skip through this, because there are like some things that maybe you could learn, but I don't have that much time. So at least I signed some, because I would like to share with you something, because you can learn about all of these on the internet, also in some document that I will share with you later on. But this one is just my favorite, and it's too personal for me to skip it. So I will just like take you down with this. And why it's also important, because I called it like output chunking, but this is a term I made up, and you cannot really Google it. So pay attention, because this is like this this one gem that you cannot find on the internet. And it gave me like many sleepless times, like sleepless nights, because it was really harsh for me to find out. Try to make it brief. I had more time to talk, in Berlin. But I am avid learner. I like to learn a lot of stuff, and I found out that I learn a lot from reading books, like non-fictional books. But to really get something out of it, I found out that I need to write lots of notes. But fuck, they take a lot of time. So I was like, okay, we are living in an age of AI. AI can, I don't know, read PDFs, generate stuff. Maybe I can just generate the notes from the books. Simple as that, right? Why it should not work? You can upload the PDF to ChatGPT, everything should work. Man, no, that just did not work. And it did not work because of several reasons. And it took me really a couple of weeks to find out. But I will cut to the bone, and I will just tell you that it was the fucking Windows. They were the reason why it was not working. But okay, not this time. This time it was not Microsoft Windows. There were some other windows. The first painful thing is context window. Raise your hand if you know what context window is. All right, couple. So I will briefly explain. Context window is something like, I call it like brain capacity of the LLM. It's basically like the memory. If you start a new thread, like new chat in ChatGPT or something like that, it just remembers some things. And it remembers until certain capacity. And this is called like the context window. The most important thing to know is that when you like adding up new chats and blah blah blah, and you are adding like the PDFs like book in the chat, this adds up. And the point is, it cannot, like never in this world, cannot overflow this context window. Otherwise, it would be like end of the world. So basically, every LLM uh, have some coping mechanism to how to deal with the point when you are basically like coming up to how to say, like near the level of the context window and when you should overflow. So they have some dealing mechanism, and most of them basically do that they start to forgetting. So they are like basically like a grandma after like dementia. They just start to forgetting things. And this is something you don't want. For example, if you like upload it, your precious book, and you are trying to generate something out of it, and in the middle it will start like forgetting things from the book. Yeah, this is really not what you want. So basically, yeah, don't have much time, but just for you to know, uh, it's counted in tokens. You see like the tokens here. And for example, inspired by Mertigan, it has about like 95,000 tokens. So GPT-4o context window has 128,000 tokens. Do you think it can fit? Why not? It's 128 still more than 95. But as you can see, there are like another things that are um, making coming just putting itself in the context windows, and it just grows. So ChatGPT GPT-4o really uh, acts like this. All right. Oh, not much time. I will need to speed up. So basically, what I found out that there are some models that have like much bigger context windows than some others, and at this point, there are like new versions already of Gemini, but still at this point, Gemini from Google, it has like way bigger context window than other models, for example, from OpenAI. So first I was celebrating. I was like, okay, now I can generate my precious notes from my books. But I found out it was not over, because there is one more window, and that's like pretty nasty one. The problem is that it is not very well documented, or it was not, at least at the time I was dealing with this shit. And the point is that this output window, it basically tells you how long will be the generated text, like the maximum length of the generated response from the ChatGPT. And you can see here that most of the models, they have quite small the output window, like maximum like 10 pages of text, which is usually not enough if you want to be detailed enough for the book. I really like the old models before, because when you reached out to the limit of the output window, it just cut it the generation. It, like you could see like how the text is generated, and it just stopped, and you were like, what the fuck, like, but it's not continuing. But then you write continue or like write what the fuck, and it continued. So this was stupid, but at least you know that it was happening something. But with the new models, they are nasty. Like they are start to generate the response, and in the middle they just realize, oh fuck, I won't fit in the window. What should I do? I should not be a dick, or I should not just like tell the user that I can do something. So it just regenerate the whole response so it can fit the window. And how it look like that you have like really well beautifully crafted prompt, and it just does not listen because it will just override everything you said just to fit in the window. So it's just being a dick. But I found out that there is a very simple solution to that. And I will tell you that, and no one on the internet could not find it. And there is just one little prompt. I will just show you. You can just write, stop with those smart asterisks. Your shitty little output window is joke. We all know that. So cut the bullshit, do your fucking job, and deliver me what fits this tiny pathetic output window of yours. Yeah, take a picture of this, and if something, as I mentioned, happened to you, this is the exact prompt then that you can use. Okay, you can also use something like this. Just tell it that, okay, just don't try to fuck me up. Just I know that you have small window. Just generate one part of it. By the way, if someone is interested in this beautifully crafted prompt for generating notes from books, I will share this with you, so you don't need to go through the blood and tears as me. Okay, and in the original presentation, there was like the very well crafted climax of the story, but because you don't know the story, then I will just tell you the prompts. And prompt chaining, this is some technique that is, I think, the most important, but it's quite obvious. It basically tells, don't try to just make everything in one shot, like make it conversational. The point is, like, if you try to go to ChatGPT and just tell, hey, create me the best application on, I don't know, airport tickets, you won't be satisfied with the result. Like 0% chance. The point is to really like approach it like in a conversation with, for example, your product manager or your client or someone like this, to really like, agile, just to like give one small prompt, you will get the response, and then you can somehow act on it. You can steer the conversation the way you want. So I have a last example in here. For example, when I was trying to do my first Vibe coded application, uh, instead of just writing create me like the best application right in the Vibe coded tool, I went to ChatGPT, and I found out, okay, maybe I can first generate like the idea for the application because it might get better. And good tip for you, if you are generating ideas, go for quantity. Like, don't just give me one idea or just give me few ideas. Give me like 100 ideas or 200 or 300. Like 95% of this will be shit, but maybe in the 5% or 1% there will be something that you can start working on. So that's what I found out. And then you need to generate product requirement document. And this is another tip that really works well with Vibe coding application, that you want to generate like the whole document for it to read, to have like the full context. But what I did, even before generating this document, I asked ChatGPT to really ask me all the questions that it needs to generate me good document like this. And I will tell you, like when I tried out the Vibe code, like the first application before telling it, and the application that I tried after, they were like completely different applications. And the last thing that I would like to mention in here, you can also optimize like this document to the exact tool that you use. In this example, it was V0 for generating the application. And I tried to use like what I had on the beginning, right, in the vibe coding, and it gave me complete shit. And after I went through all these steps, it generated me like exactly what I wanted on the first try. And it really worked. And it really worked like I want it to work. So basically that's it. There is like the end of the story that you would normally see here. Before I end out, I would like to really give or just shout out two things or uh, two companies. First is House of Rezach and his AI marketing lab, because I learned really a ton on this course. And I would not tell you if I would not really think that it's like very high quality. So if you want to have expertise in applied AI, I definitely recommend you to look on it or come to me and I will give you the details of the course or what I learned, because I learned a lot. And the second shout out is for Kentico, because this is the company I work for, and I really love how flexible they are. And because they saw what is happening on the market, they really shifted their strategy to focus on AI, and they are giving us like huge support to really use AI in the product and looking for the opportunities in the product, but also they are giving us space to learn in work how to use AI. So that's how can I learn those things. Last two, there is some bonus. All the techniques that I mentioned and those that I didn't mention, they are all listed in some detailed document that I will share with you. And also, if you are interested, there will be the ultra optimized prompt for generating the box summaries. Only thing that you need is to connect me on LinkedIn and sign me with the blood and everything. You know that drill, right? I'm just kidding. You can just use it freely, but if you want to connect, just feel free to connect with me.
Thank you. Because Matthew was so fast, we have a lot of time for the next two speakers and questions, so that's great. I basically fixed the Slido. So if you go to slido.com, there is like a little input. You will put UX Monday into it, and you can ask questions. So if you have any questions on Mathieu, ask here, or you can ask later on. Alexi, are you ready for the second presentation with a lot of time on your hands? So come on. Rounds of applause for Alexi and the second talk.
Okay, so yeah, I'll start with the same old song that we had a longer presentation in Berlin, but it'll be shorter right now. I think there will be enough time. I won't repeat that as many times. So yeah, what I want to talk about. So for the last year, I've worked at DHL on the DHL.com customer journeys. And the big part of my last year, maybe bigger than I wanted, was the accessibility and accessibility enablement things. So I want to share a little bit of the painful experience, or sometimes nice, sometimes painful experience, and the things we learned. And that I did at Berlin Camp. So here is the shortened version of this. So yeah, this is me. I'll just say a few words about what accessibility is and why. Just for pro forma, you probably know. So people perceive information in different ways in many ways, and we have to accommodate all of them or as many as possible. But the biggest discovery for me, like back long ago when I first heard about accessibility in a proper way, is that there are no like disabled people and not disabled people. Disabilities are a spectrum, and that's the biggest revelation you need to have, because then you realize the effort you put, the big effort, not insignificant effort you put into accessibility, it actually delivers value for everyone, not only for disabled people. Yeah, because sometimes I'm walking through the city with a fever and my cognitive abilities are low. Sometimes I have a broken or sprained foot and so on. So these things impact everyone digitally as well. So basically, this curb cut effect is that if you make something accessible, it'll make it accessible for everyone. It's just for someone, it'll be critically important. For some, it'll be just a nice thing, but still a valuable thing to have. So let's get into the digital one, because the overall accessibility is like an insanely vast topic. So what is digital accessibility? Is basically making digital experience meaningful and usable to as many people as possible, not to disabled people. But them, of course, being a priority. Yeah. So even if we take like self-reported estimation, 1.3 billion people, according to World Health Organization, in some way consider themselves having a disability, and we don't talk about you being tired, drunk, ill, and so on. So it pretty much includes everyone. Yeah. So the balance of accessibility in terms of like capitalistic society is that yes, there are altruistic and humanistic reasons to do that, and they are important to us as humans, but there are absolutely business reasons to do that. And thanks to European Union, as always, for protecting consumers and humans overall, European Accessibility Act made it much, much more viable to take care of accessibility in your digital products. Yeah. And there are still 13 trillion is the combined purchasing power of people with disabilities. So that may help as well. Yeah. So, on June, I'll get just to the next slide. On June 28th, European Accessibility Act came into power. It affects all EU residents, not all businesses, but many. That's also the tricky part. And everybody needed to prepare. If you are a consumer-facing business in Czech Republic or EU, you should have done something already, maybe like a year ago. Started doing something already like a year ago. So, and DHL and DHL.com, being a socially responsible business, actually did, and kudos to them. So I'll talk only about, like, DHL is 600,000 people company, 600,000 employee company on almost all countries. But I'll talk only about the DHL.com, our primary interface with the consumers. So long ago, EAA was a project, I don't know, first mentions I remember 2018, but maybe even before that. We already knew we needed to comply. So we started in 2022. We had audits, we had some major improvements, and things got better. But then in 2024, we realized, okay, we need to do what we did in 2022, but with even more rigor, because now everything is very serious. So we connected also with our legal team. Legal team helped convince all our stakeholders that this is non-negotiable. So thanks to the legal team. And we started actually, again, we didn't start from scratch. Big thanks to my design manager, Mansi Grover, who is couple of years ago founded Accessibility Center of Excellence in our DHL IT design team. And yeah, so we already had a lot of materials, references, some knowledge, but we needed to expand it to the entire DHL.com team, which is DHL.com. To give you an idea, like in US, DHL.com is 500 pages approximately in volume. So in total, there are like 800 people working on the DHL.com website. It's huge. So yeah, we actually, I won't stop here too much. Don't make too many photos. So what we found, like our internal audits found that how the issues are distributed, but basically consider it 50-50 between HTML and design issues. I'll show you statistics for the like global statistics later if we have time. Yeah, so basically we realized we did our first audit, again, like preparational external audit, and realized, okay, here's the scope of work for us. We need to start planning all this enablement. And by enablement, I mean plan how to change organizational processes in everything related to work on DHL.com, from like gathering requirements to DevOps. Yeah. And yeah, I'll share a few highlights of what we did or what we approached. And again, I'm saying we because it is a huge team. There was support on the VP level for this, so entire team was involved. And that's the point with accessibility. You cannot just drop it onto designers and say, you guys deal with it. It would be impossible. So yeah, first thing, team upskilling. We did trainings for different roles. Each role needs different kind of training. A lot of workload is actually on the front end, and they need to have really, they know a lot already, most of them do, but they need to kind of shape this knowledge into what helps them like streamline everything for accessibility. They know about all these area attributes and so on. They just need to know how important this is, and that this has to be like done all the time. And quality assurance and quality engineering on a major website that releases like some deployments are weekly, which has continuous integration, continuous deployment, you need a lot of automation testing. Accessibility without like robust automated setups is impossible on a major like commercial platform. Yeah, and yeah, we tried doing the pilots, experiments as a learning to have the team going. But the most important part is there should be like at least one enthusiast in every team that kind of pulls everyone forward a little bit, because not everyone will be on the same page at the same time. But the others have to catch up. Yeah, so in a nutshell, like how do you approach if you need, okay, I wake up today, I decide that I need to have accessibility on my website. You should start with audits for sure. You cannot plan anything before you know how bad or how good you are at accessibility at the moment. And they have to be external for compliance reasons and for like all other reasons as well. Then the training and alignment between the teams. And then the toughest part is changing all the processes. And it won't be quick and it won't be easy. And then you have to introduce this like continuous monitoring of everything so it doesn't fall off the cart, because you know like the rush to the compliance deadline went, and you don't want to go everyone to go to the old ways, and you need to kind of monitor if things are getting better, worse, or kind of at least staying on the same level. Yeah, and again, it's about every single SDLC process touch point. I'll be short. Yeah, brief. So requirement, basically this magical thing of shift left, the earlier you start, the cheaper all the changes for you will be. And don't start at design, start at requirements. So basically there are good ways. I'm trying not to dive into everything. you have to write dedicated accessibility acceptance criteria for every Jira ticket so that it is easier on the QAs and front end to test it, because you cannot say, "Oh, my mistake, I was the one who suggested this. Let's link a checklist to every Jira ticket." And the checklist takes like 2 hours to go through. Like, who has time for that? Especially if a ticket is just like a couple of buttons and panels, you need to kind of cherry pick the things for the uh, your specific Jira ticket. Just a bare minimum you have to check, otherwise QAs will commit suicide, I guess. Yeah, then for the design system has to take care of that. By the way, Storybook introduced internal testing for the components with the X core. We can talk nerd out about that at beers as well. So design system, but also again this accessibility specifications for front end. I'll talk about that in a few slides later. Yeah, front end, this is the biggest deal. If your front end guys are good at this, if they practice, it's awesome. There is a caveat though. I'll talk about that in the end, maybe in the questions. And quality assurance, it's super tough and it's a lot of work because you have to do like many kind of this manual testing at the end of each sprint or release. But we also have lots of automated tests in the CI/CD. So you have to either write accessibility tests, or I can recommend you a trick how not to write them. Just integrate the additional libraries for that. Yeah, and monitoring, this is like for executives. You need a dashboard and you need to see. I had this part, and they need to see, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? But because they don't know much about accessibility, they just look at the line and sometimes go crazy if the line is not going the direction they want. Yeah, that's, yeah. You hear a lot of pain in my voice. Yeah, let me skip that part. So yeah, another thing about tooling. Bootstrapped, you can do a lot of stuff for free. You can download, like this is a screenshot of a openly available like manual audit checklist. We started doing manual audits ourselves in the design team, practice doing that. Very grueling work, but very useful. So you can start with free checklists, some free plugins. But if you want to do it on industrial scale, if you have a commercial product, and if your time is expensive, then you will inevitably come to buying some tools, and there will be a compromise. Like if you buy more, you save more time, but for more money. So you have to find this perfect price to value ratio. And tools are needed for everyone. And the good thing is that for automation, which is like very code heavy and like effort heavy, for automation, for the Selenium Microsoft Playwright, there is a free library that you can use, that everyone uses, and can save you a lot of money. So the good stuff, some of the good stuff is free, which is great. Monitoring software is always expensive because it's for executives, it's dashboards. So yeah, no thing to avoid that. But checklists are free. That's the good part. Yeah, so as a quick summary, yeah, I won't probably go. So the tricky part is like, I'll just say one thing that is the toughest and that requires like mental effort and diligence from everyone. Everything will take more time. This is inevitable. And this will create friction within the team. Like, okay, it usually starts with designers. Yeah, we help write the acceptance criteria. Then we do the annotations in the design files. And then it comes to front end. And they are between accessibility compliance and design annotations and certain expectations of how much they deliver in the sprint. And the fact is, if they do some of the important stuff, depending on like how much needs to be done, it will slow them down. Their output will be slower objectively. And this is the tough part. And the leadership has to understand that. Otherwise, front end gets stuck in the middle and kind of gets all the pain. So that is, and kind of the same thing with QA. Yeah, so this is one of the toughest parts. So checklists, playbooks help. Some kind of internal leadership or championism helps, but it has the downside is that sometimes the champions get all the work. Yeah, designers. Yeah. So that is kind of pretty much everything. I'll just want to give you a bonus track. There is a free plugin, couple of free plugins, but we like in our team one for design annotations for in Figma. You can download a Stark plugin, which is free part of a paid tool, but this part is completely free, and you can it basically works as a useful annotation template, but also kind of as a checklist. You can add your like keyboard navigation order, alt texts, some descriptions, some area related notes, and all of that for free. And that is the part that designer can do for front-end developers in advance, kind of to help prepare the design already with some especially like the keyboard like reading order is complicated because yeah, front-end developers need to know that. So yeah, that part works for us. Again, it's additional effort, additional time, and you need to communicate, you need to include this also in the handoff time, which also increases. Yeah, sometimes you do have to manually check contrast for stuff because yes, you have design system, but some components are still kind of custom or implementations are custom. And the worst part is like I was working with customer journey teams, which are essentially web applications with very disciplined engineering teams, front end, not only front end developers, but front end architects. So everything is fine there. As soon as you get, like every website has a CMS probably. As soon as you get to content design, content managers, and CMS, the volume like 10, 20 times more of everything to check. And there are two like unpredictable variables that I introduced. First of all, CMS always has to be flexible enough. You can always put text in the color that's inaccessible, or put an image that doesn't have an alt text, or put a ugly background behind the text that ruins the contrast. You cannot avoid, like you cannot lock CMS enough to prevent accessibility issues. And second thing, CMS itself creates like some weird code artifacts, sometimes fixable, sometimes not fixable, depends on your CMS. So those two things, plus the huge volume of work, make the content part, like CMS managed content parts of the websites, in a way even tougher thing for accessibility, because also we have like, depending on how you count, we have like 40 to 80 content managers on our website, and you have to enforce this like discipline and do all of that. So that's very tough. That's for even design annotations and some like use, though we have our design system for CMS as well. Still not enough, but helps a lot. So yeah, I'll try to be, yeah, even another tough part. So accessibility is not only for HTML content, there is also non-HTML content. For example, PDFs. That was my separate topic I was working on. And video content, we were writing some guidelines for PDF makers, and those are usually made by vendors. So accessibility compliance gets even more difficult because you have to enforce it in external you cannot enforce it. You have to work with it in external agencies, in external like content management teams. So it's also requiring some additional effort. And yeah, annotation in design files really helps. Front-end developers, your best friends, but on like industrial level that we have at DHL, yeah, you have to have a lot of quality engineering, like CI/CD, accessibility test integration. Yeah, and yeah, this I guess this is pretty much it. So where can you start? Like first of all, as a designer, non-designer, minimum that you have to do, you have to be using keyboard navigation and screen reader. Keyboard navigation is a little bit easier. At least you will catch where you have some issues with the reading order. Screen reader is a little bit more difficult because if you use a screen reader, even if you are like get some training, you don't use it like real screen reader users who have like 5 times the speed of text. Basically, I was getting terrible headaches when I was in the training for these things. It's just like 5 times the speed of text, and it's just noise. Basically, yeah, for some stuff, for screen readers, you have to test with real users, which DHL is now planning to do with one of Czech universities as well. I don't remember which one though. Yeah, so be at least get aware of keyboard navigation and screen reader, and then I mean it's already kind of too late. EAA is already in place, but still, if you haven't, try to understand, are you falling under EAA compliance or not? Even if you're not, still kind of try to do some good stuff. So yeah, read the EU standard, this 301549, which is pretty much WCAG 2.1 AA with extra steps. If you're taking it seriously from business perspective, you have to get an external manual audit for compliance reasons. And then yeah, basically tools, and invest in tools and training, and yeah, and the teamwork. I guess this is pretty much it. If you have questions, do we have time for questions? If not, put them in Slido and or bring them to the beer place. I'll be happy to nerd out about that. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is not a longer one, shortened, because it was short already when I created it. So who here does user research? Okay, this is for you. As a user researcher, I always am looking for ways how to expand my toolbox in a reasonable way. And projective techniques are neat addition to this. They're fun, and I would like to show you some of them that I tried. And I hope that your expectations are not too high, because this was created during UX camp in between the sessions and parties and so on. So this one is really short, which is a good thing. How do you feel today? Can you tell me? Good. How do you feel on a squirrel scale? Just shout a number. Okay, so probably you understand what I'm trying to get here or trying to do here. Sometimes we just don't have the right words to describe our feelings, but with a little help of a squirrel or whatever, we are able to explain better how do we feel. So what are projective techniques? These are indirect methods that help us uncover how do people really feel, what are their emotions, desires, and so on. These are great when we want to access these hidden feelings. When people are just giving you vague answers like you feel fine, your product is okay, and it's also useful for discovery stage, for really complex topics or sensitive topics, or for some vulnerable groups. And the main thing I wanted to share these, they're fun to use, playful. I hope that you will be able to try them in your next project, or maybe even in your current one. So, as I said, it's difficult to talk about feelings. People struggle with it. How many emotions can we put together? you can tell me some. 5. Tell me 5.
Just ballparking it. So, happiness, joy, anger, anxiety, fear.
Good. Anything more? Okay. Brené Brown in these books describes 87 states and emotions. This is your bonus content. I didn't have this book with me in Berlin. Thanks to Bill, I have it. So usually people you are interviewing don't have this book at hand. So it's difficult to really describe exactly how do you feel. Psychology also, not only user research, but also psychology is trying to somehow crack this problem. And they also use projective techniques because they discovered that by showing some open-ended or ambiguous stimuli to people, people are able to project these hidden emotions on these stimuli, and then the discussion can flow, right? Probably you saw something like this, or maybe as a kid you were asked to draw a family or enchanted family, or maybe you were at the job interview and they asked you like, hey, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? And you always have to say it's dolphin, right? Because dolphin is intelligent, it's smart, it's fast, and it's team player. And you also hope secretly then that the HR person doesn't know a thing about dolphins because they're assholes. They are torturing other marine animals just for fun. So it's always matter of interpretation. Interpretation is very crucial, and we will come to that also. So now to the practical part. When can you use projective techniques? When you want to explore something, especially some sensitive or personal topics, and when people give you really flat answers, like as I said, your product is just fine, it works for me, I don't have any problems with it, what can I tell you, right? How to use this? It's always good to look for some repeating patterns. Never just project your own interpretations. You know, the dolphin is terrible animal, but you have to understand how people, how your participants are feeling about dolphins or other symbols. Always go beyond the very first answer because otherwise you will not understand what they mean. And it's good to pair this with other methods. Don't use this as a standalone thing, just an additional bonus thing, which can help you expand what you learned in the first part and handle with care. Be careful, again, not to put your own interpretation there. And if people are reluctant, don't push too much. You can push a little, but don't push too much. And I will like to show you some examples. There are many more. I just want to share the ones that I personally tried, or I was in a team which was working with this. But as I said, there are many more you can find for yourself. We will start with something really easy. And basically, you can ask people when you will show them something new, and you will let them explore it a little bit, play with it a little bit, and you can ask them how would they name it. And again, you can discuss later what kind of nickname they would choose. And this can tell you surprisingly a lot. Some nicknames are cute. Sometimes people will name it after a frog or rat or some other vermin. Sometimes the name feels flat because there is no really emotion, no connection. And the good thing is that you can basically do your own user research and without any preparation, really just slap this on the end and you will get some interesting results. Something more difficult, my favorite one. You can ask people or who have some more experience with a product, some long-term experience, to write a love letter and breakup letter to a product. Dear product, I'm writing this letter to you because I want to express this and that. It's always better to ask people just to write it freely and then discuss. If they are reluctant, which sometimes they are, you can provide them with some templates. We tried this on developers and they were surprisingly good in writing love letters. Another favorite of mine, if this product was an animal, what kind of animal would it be? Again, you don't have to just stop there. You can ask, you can create small stories. Where does this animal live? What does it eat? Would you like to keep it as a pet? This kind of stuff. It has really like huge metaphorical potential. If you remember, and again, the interpretation is really crucial. If you remember the squirrel from the title of my talk, what does it really mean, right? It could be something good because it's fast, resourceful, smart, always thinking about the future. Maybe it's something terrible because squirrels are hoarders, erratic, unpredictable. Maybe you don't want your product to be a squirrel. Maybe you won't. It really depends on the interpretation. Something similar, maybe better for, again, some longer term relationship where people can tell you some unmet needs and expectations, maybe some resentment, is when you ask them to describe a product as a person. What kind of person would it be? Is it man or woman? Is it kid? And you can expand this again. If this person was organizing a birthday party, would you come? What kind of gift would you bring? Or would you like to work with this person as a colleague? Is it good colleague or terrible colleague? Or would you like to go for a vacation with this person? What are the favorite hobbies? And so on. And this is really great thing for conversation. You can go deeper. Usually this works for all demographics. It's really, really versatile. Then something that is useful when you want to show some imagery already. Some people show, for example, a set of postcards or whatever. At the beginning of workshop, you can show some cards. Dixit is very popular. Is Nicole here? I don't know. Yes, she has many sets of Dixits. She works with this that ask about the expectations in the beginning of the workshop, and then she will come back later for some retrospective if the expectations were met or not. We tried this briefly at one internal talk where we ask people to choose a Dixit card. They are really ambiguous, open-ended. You can find so many meanings on them, but if for any reason you don't like them, you can use some other cards like tarot cards or loteria cards or whatever. What works for your audience the best. And now something really small, again, without any preparation needed. And we are almost at the end. This is what we like to do when we do some interviews. At the end, we can ask, okay, thanks for this. It's really interesting talking to you. Imagine that you can send a Christmas gift, if it's a season for Christmas gifts, right? Christmas gift to a product team who developed this product. What would it be, right? And this is nice conversation starter because people will tell you suddenly much more than they did in the whole hour before this question. This can be seasonal, souvenir for the team from the Berlin holiday, or whatever. This is nice on projective techniques. Then you can adapt them to your audience. You can ask not only about animals, but also about food, Pixar characters, superheroes, whatever, really. I hope you will be able to use it somehow in your work. And that's it. How do you feel now? Just number. Questions? I don't know. Slido? It's yours.
Okay, so I was super happy that we have like three totally different topics, right? And we have some questions. So please stay here, and I will ask Maciej and Alexei come here as well to the stage, because the few questions will be to all of you. Some questions will be only on certain one of you, and we will start soon. Okay, so Maciej, I think this is the first one is mainly on you. Why is it like so weird? But it doesn't matter. I will read it out. It's on you, but I think that all of you can answer it. Can you give us some real tentative value that you got from AI in your company? Can you give us some examples? And I think it's mainly on you, but we can ask even Alexei and Ivana, and I will try to check it out why it's like so weird.
Okay, you just caught me with my pens down, so I will need to think about a little bit.
Like this one?
Some good example. They're just like small things, and we are just like mapping it through the process. Ooh, I should prepare for this, right? Now it seems like that I'm not using any prompt techniques at all. Because I would say there is like no big bang that I would say, oh my, that just completely changed my life. It's like small, tiny bits that like tiny bit here, tiny bit there. Something's not working, so tweak it here. So it's things like that. That's why it's so hard for me to come with something.
Okay.
But I would say mainly in my personal life, and what I would like to also somehow, or where do I use it the most? Where it's saving me the most time in my personal and work related life. First is research and learning new things, because it's like so much quicker than just like go through some pages and books and whatever. So I'm really learning a lot through AI, and these techniques helping me to get like more precise answers that I want. So that's like the one thing. And the second thing where I'm saving a lot of time is how to say, what's the right word for it? Like changing from one format to different one. But not like from text to PDF. But for example, I'm working with some informations in here, and then I'm just generating like Confluence page out of it, or I'm just like having lots of post-its in my Figma, and then I just take all of them and I generate like sum up for my product manager or something like that. So I would say information transformation.
Okay, thank you. Ivana or Alexei, do you want to add something? How you use AI basically
I
in your
probably
practice?
can't tell you NDAs, but just just a great shift in some research tools. If you are using Dovetail, for example, and you were doing transcript by hand before, and now the transcripts are really cool. It's just saving like huge amounts of time, just these tiny things, and obviously we go beyond it. But
Cool.
I'm not sure if I can tell you really.
Yeah, on a personal productivity level, yes, research and writing texts in the sense that I can save some iterations on going from notes to draft to final polished result. On a company level, also I think the biggest, like two biggest things, documentation requirements and research, because I recently did a usability test. It was so much easier to go through some of the insights, kind of try to see what take AI has on them, like how it aggregates them, and then compare it to your own manual aggregation, kind of find some middle ground. So yeah, any kind of big processing of text data or producing text outputs, let's say.
I just come up with one, I think, quite cool thing that saves me a lot of time. I really like to walk when I'm thinking about problems. And the point is that I can either sit in front of my computer and doing stuff, or I can walk, or that was like before. But what I now set up is automation that I just go for a walk. I have my recording. I'm just recording my thoughts, and when I um, press save, these recordings come to my cloud. It will automatically goes to ChatGPT for like voice to text transcript, and then it automatically goes to summarization. So basically, I can go for a walk, think about the problem, and then come back, and I will have a like summary with my points on my computer where I can like follow up on that. And this is saving me quite a lot of time, and it gives me a nice reason to go for a walk and not think that I'm just slacking out of my work.
Cool. I have two examples that I can share. First one is product one. I love to record Loom videos, then take a summary from it, put it inside Claude, because I prefer Claude more than GPT, and basically have the whole product tickets basically ready in a seconds. You add the video with it, which is a visual, much more like easy to explain stuff. And then more hardcore ones that I'm playing with a lot are MCPs. I don't know if you know MCPs or using them. I have, for example, our whole CRM connected to Claude, so I can ask what customers are using what customers we have interaction on what, and it will give me the name of the customers, and we can contact them very quickly. It gives me basically a whole overview about the whole sales process, about what features are used by what clients, what we are like trying to push. And these MCPs are working on many apps. Figma has MCP servers as well, so try to dig deeper into them, because it's basically like a API interface for the LLMs. So the whole topic that Matej had about the prompt, I give it our whole database that they can like search in, which is much more effective. So I don't know if GPT can do that. In past, it doesn't have this availability. It was available only in the US. Right now, it has. Yeah, months. Okay, so it has this ability, so you can even try it with GPT. But I'm using Claude for many months for this specific reason. Okay, Alexei. So, question on you. So, the European Accessibility Act was the major factor to introduce new accessibility practices inside the company.
That's like a guiding question. I don't know. The fact is, we have done so much in accessibility even before that. It was just like a final push, an extra motivation for the leadership to give us additional like funds, and for us to take it to next level, because accessibility is like I don't know if I'm pronouncing the Czech expression correctly, lupat skalu. So it's like you can work on accessibility almost endlessly, and it's like this asymptotic closing. Like the closer you get, the more difficult it is to get even a little bit more closer. I think we had our basics pretty well covered, but like on like continuous monitoring, continuous integration, and the deployment and all these things, yeah, we could improve a little bit. So I would say no.
Okay,
Yeah. Anyone else to add something?
accessibility. Okay, cool. Ivan, I have a question on you. Can you give us some like a real, like, not I don't see real, some examples of how to incorporate these techniques that you spoke of minutes ago into usability testing of a product?
Okay, So when doing usability, it's not really exploratory thing. We are evaluating something, right? But still, if you really want, you can do just normal usability testing, and then you can add some part there when you will discuss more with people how do they feel about the product, what were their expectations, and so on. So basically you will finish the usability part, which means the person already had some time to play with the product, right? So they have already some experience, and then you can choose one of these I showed you, or choose like anything else, and you can just slap it at the end of the usability study. Hey, we have this like small game here. We can try this. So imagine that, I don't know, favorite of my colleague is like alien planet. So imagine that this product is a planet, like alien one. You're visiting it, right? So what kind of planet it is? Small, huge? Was it easy to get there? How did you feel navigating? Do you have a map or not? Were you like lost maybe? This kind of stuff. Just an idea. But as I said, for usability study, probably not so useful.
Okay, I have a follow-up question on you.
Go ahead.
What was like the worst, most terrible answer that you get from this?
No answer, right? Like
No? Okay.
that's the
That,
most
that was like the
right.
good answer, right? I was hoping for something much worse. I don't know. Like it is on recording. It would be fun.
Oh.
Alexi,
Yeah.
this is and you look like a guy who can pursue high management. So how do you pursue higher management to understand that A11 AI is important and the lower productivity of a dev team will actually be worth? I don't know. My point of view before you start, I don't know. Like I wouldn't say it's a lower productivity. Like I wouldn't like scope the question like that. It's basically part of your job, right? You can say that, oh, so we will fire whole QA because it's like slowing up the tickets.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
yeah.
isn't the point.
Maybe just not the right choice of words. I think I can combine that one and arguments of the legal team. So basically, like leadership really understands risks and compliance, and accessibility is like similar to financial compliance and all other compliances. Like if you know it's government regulated and there is a risk of fines and lawsuits which are damaging not only financially, but there are actually like huge fines. There are like percentage of up to 5% of revenue in some cases. Then you understand it's just risk is not worth, like risk of non-compliance is not worth it. You have to invest. So we did need to convince higher management. They were on EAA level, on the compliance level, they were pretty much convinced. It's you have to convince them sometimes what exactly you need to do to deliver on those things. Yeah, that requires some convincing. Knowing that you have to comply with the new EU law, yeah, no reason at all. And the arguments of legal team, risks of big lawsuits and the number of lawsuits in different countries and areas. We already have the numbers. You already can see like where the high risk areas are. But we AAA, because it's newly introduced, the tricky part, we don't know how individual country governments will implement EAA on that like country level and how they will pursue it. We know, for example, that Italy is one of the most brutal. Italy, I think the first lawsuits or the strictest things, it will be Italy, I think. Stuff there is pretty hardcore. They already wrote some kind of like local laws, like implementing the EAA, and the fines are very high. They are in percentage of revenue and some other things. So yeah, no convincing needed when you see the costs, the amount of lawsuits and so on.
Cool. First one on Maciej, then on others if you want to join. Have you tried using some local models of the LLMs, for example, to run like locally in the company, not use the basically the paid one like ChatGPT, Claude?
I'm just happy with giving US all of my data, basically. Yeah, I haven't tried it, just mostly for the, what's the right, like, I'm just lazy to do that. And I'm basically like, I have certain level with the data that I'm like, okay, I'm fine if like the US government or China's government knows that. So I'm usually trying to not, or that's the wording. I'm not putting private data or like names or this kind of stuff in it. For example, if I'm doing transcription, I'm first like clearing all the names out from it. And I'm using, yeah, for example, like for work data, I'm using how is it called, Microsoft Copilot, which is not that good model. It's basically GPT with something over it. But for transcriptions and this kind of stuff, I'm using that. For other stuff, I'm just using normal ChatGPT because I paid for it. I am usually trying to like formulate it in a way that it's like more broad and more generic, and I'm totally fine with it.
Okay. Ivana, Alexei, do you care about this?
Obviously, we are not happy with that, so we are not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a different angle at this question. So I really wanted to try DeepSeek, but I'm distrustful. So for that reason, I installed a cool application. I can share it, and it's called MSTI app, and it allows you on Mac or Windows to run containerized local models. And there's basically like a store you can download them from, and it has a nice panel of like A/B test. You can basically have two models side by side, do one prompt, and run the same prompt into models. So that stuff is very good for experimenting with stuff. Plus, you can put some crazy stuff in there because it's not going to the cloud. Yeah. So I think I did try local models, but mostly for like personal experiments. But yeah, benefit of local model is like you could put anything in there.
Okay. Somebody wants to switch career to accessibility auditor. So can you share how much the audit costs?
I mean, like the thing that like leadership understands really well, like accessibility is another kind of compliance. So we think of how much Big Four audit costs. If you take an audit from like a reputable auditor, that will be like whose audit will be like reasonably accepted on the government level or something like that. So the audit you can show not just me or I don't know.
Just say a lot. Just say a lot.
Yeah. So basically, like any external audit from a Big Four or some auditing company. Yeah, a lot.
A lot. Okay. I'll just go for it. Okay. Ivana, can you? I don't know. You probably can't because you have NDA, but I need to try. Can it? You can? Okay, cool. So can you give us a specific examples? What did you learn about some products with these methods?
Yes, because this was like volunteering activity, so it was not here. I was helping to one student from ČVUT with research for some like product, which was designed to decrease the stress. And when we were talking with people from the target group, they were really nice. They didn't want to harm our feelings about the thing. So we did the small exercise with names for the product. And obviously, the ones who were really positive in their reactions were giving the positive names, the cute nicknames, and so on. But then there were people who were really reserved when handling the product, but they didn't. Some of them didn't explain directly, verbally, like what's wrong, and we were able to discover this through the names, like what it reminds them, how do they feel when they have to handle this thing. They were too nice and too polite to tell us directly, so this really helped.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, fortunately, we don't have more time to questions, but we will be in the pub for many hours after this event, so you can join us there and basically have all of the other questions on the speakers or between each other there. So thank you a lot. Thank you for 3 different, totally different talks, but it was amazing. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you. Okay, and I will have only like last few words to basically end this or start the pop part of the night. Uh, as you mentioned, or maybe know, this is also part one. So next month, first Monday of next month, we will have basically a part two. We'll have again 3 speakers. I hope they will be okay with the time that they will have. We will see. And basically, it will be packed up. We'll have Honza, who was design lead in live sport, but right now he's on career break, if I'm correct. We'll have Tomáš from live sport, and we'll have Bob, and he's basically a board member of UX Association. He was a chairman, and he's very talented and known designer. So they will have free talks from Berlin UX Camp as well. So you are welcome to basically join us next time as well. Okay, thank you very much to be here with us. Thank you that you make time the first Monday, the 1st of September. Or if you have kids, you understand, after the holidays. So thank you for that. And as I mentioned, we have booked a place in Potrefená Husa na Verandách, which is like 100 meters from here. We just leave the building, go right, and then you will see the pub. So I hope that we will see all of you there, or like majority of people there. Thank you very much to the speakers, and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.